Today I fucked up by calling my mother-in-law a bitch to her face at family dinner. All right, Reddit, strap in for this one. I never thought I'd be sharing a TIFU moment, but here I am, living through my very own family nightmare. It all started last Sunday when my wife, Elowen, and I went to her parents' house for the usual family dinner. Now, a bit of background. I've never really gotten along with my mother-in-law, Gwendolyn. She's always been overly critical of everything I do, but I try to keep the peace for Elowen's sake. Anyway, the evening started off fine enough. We arrived at their place around 6, and the whole family was there. Elowen's dad, Arthur, her brother, Percival, and his girlfriend, Isolde. Everyone was making small talk, and Gwendolyn was in the kitchen, stirring up what smelled like a delicious pot roast. As soon as we walked in, Gwendolyn gave me that usual tight-lipped smile. "Oh, look who decided to join us," she said. I bit my tongue and just smiled back. Elowen squeezed my hand, and I knew she was silently thanking me for not reacting. Dinner was served, and we all gathered around the table. It was a nice spread: roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, the works. As we sat down, I noticed Gwendolyn eyeing me, like she was waiting for me to mess up somehow. I kept my cool, though. Halfway through dinner, Gwendolyn started her usual nitpicking. It began with subtle jabs at my job. "So, Oswald, still working at that little tech company of yours?" she asked, dripping with condescension. I forced a smile. "Yes, Gwendolyn, still working there. It's actually going really well." She raised an eyebrow. "I suppose someone has to do those sorts of jobs." Elowen shot her mother a look, but before she could say anything, Gwendolyn changed the topic to our living situation. "When are you two going to move out of that cramped apartment and buy a proper house?" I felt my blood starting to boil. "We're saving up, Gwendolyn. It's not as easy as it used to be." She let out a small, derisive laugh. "Maybe, if you managed your money better, you wouldn't be in that situation." That was it. I clenched my fists under the table, taking deep breaths to calm myself down. Elowen gave me a pleading look, silently asking me to hold it together. But the worst was yet to come. Dessert came out, and Gwendolyn decided it was the perfect time to bring up our wedding. Specifically, how we didn't follow her suggestions. She went on and on about how the flowers weren't right, the venue was too small, and how we should have invited more of her friends. I finally snapped. "Gwendolyn, our wedding was perfect for us. I don't appreciate you constantly criticizing everything we do." The room went silent. Everyone stared at me, shocked. Gwendolyn looked like she had been slapped. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice dangerously low. "You heard me," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "I'm tired of you always putting us down and acting like nothing we do is ever good enough for you." Elowen's dad, Arthur, tried to intervene. "Oswald, maybe we should all just calm down." But I was past the point of no return. "No, Arthur, she needs to hear this. Gwendolyn, you're a bitch." The room exploded into chaos. Gwendolyn stood up, her face red with rage. "How dare you speak to me like that in my own home?" Elowen was in tears, trying to calm her mother down, while also looking devastated by my outburst. Percival and Isolde sat there, mouths agape, unsure of what to do. Arthur tried to regain control of the situation. "Everyone, let's just sit down and talk this out." But Gwendolyn wasn't having it. "No, Arthur, he disrespected me in my own home. He's not welcome here anymore." Elowen looked at me, her eyes filled with hurt. "Oswald, let's go, now." We left in a hurry, the sound of Gwendolyn's angry shouting following us out the door. The car ride home was silent and tense. Elowen stared out the window, tears streaming down her face. I felt like absolute shit. I'd let my temper get the best of me, and now I had to face the consequences. When we got home, Elowen finally spoke. "Oswald, I know my mother can be difficult, but you shouldn't have called her that. It's just made everything worse." "I'm sorry, Elowen," I said, feeling like a total idiot. "I just couldn't take it anymore. She's always putting us down, and I'd lost it." "I know," she sighed, "but now we have to deal with the fallout. I'm going to have to talk to her and try to smooth things over." The next few days were rough. Gwendolyn refused to speak to either of us, and Arthur called asking me to apologize. I knew I had to do it, even if I didn't want to. Eventually, I swallowed my pride and called Gwendolyn. The conversation was awkward and tense, but I managed to get through an apology. She begrudgingly accepted, but things were never quite the same after that. Elowyn and I worked through it, but the whole incident left a scar. Family dinners were strained, and Gwendolyn's jabs became even more subtle and cutting. So, there it is, Reddit. TIFU by calling my mother-in-law a bitch to her face at family dinner. It was a disaster, and I regret losing my temper. But at least I learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, it's better to keep your cool, no matter how much someone gets under your skin.